Boy. Today we're going to be playing some Rainbow Six Siege, and we will be discussing mains. Now, if those of you who don't know, mains are the characters. Oh, oh gosh, where was Cav at? Might have been upstairs. Yep. Anyway, so maining is when a character is someone that you only really use, or is someone who you like to use the most. Um, So really, there's all kinds of mains. There's Jaeger mains, Tachanka mains, there's Ash mains. There's a whole bunch of characters that people love to use. Now, as you can tell, this pastor guy, he's pixel peeking. Those of you who don't know, pixel peeking is where you are hiding behind either a wall or as a cement barrier or a number of other another number of barriers that could protect you from bullets. Now, what pixel peeking is, you are peeking around a corner or you are peeking between two walls so thinly that there's only a couple pixels between the two. This is a trick used a lot by Rainbow Six Siege players because Rainbow Six Siege is such a tactical game to play. Now, what are the other types of mains? Now, Zofia mains are very quick and love to use. They love to use explosives from a distance, just like Ash. But Zofia mains are blow a hole in this and then run through it and shoot. Ash is more of a blow a hole in it, run and kill everybody. But Zofia's are either A, the running gunners, or B, blow a hole from a distance and watch and then go run and gun. Now, Caveira mains, or Cav, as some people like to say, Caveira mains, those are people who love to be silent or love to be very in the shadows, watching, observing, and then mid attack from attackers, that's when she goes to go and kill people. Now, one of Cav's special abilities is hiding and then going to use her silent step, which is, as it sounds, it's a silent step. And when she does do this, she can walk up behind someone and then interrogate them. And when she's interrogating them, when she's done interrogating, it will show your team up on their map. It'll show where they are, no matter where their position is. There's Jaeger mains like to stay back, make sure they like to protect their team from explosives. Now, Jaeger uses a ADS system, which is, I think I'm actually gonna go Maestro. Uses an ADS system which uses a mini missile to shoot explosives coming into the objective room. Now, with Kapkan mains tend to like to cause a little disruption to attacking teams. What Kapkan can do is he likes to go roam around and then he will put a trap on a door frame, and when an attacker walks through that door frame, there will be an explosion and it will do quite a bit of damage. Now, depending on the operator who tripped that trap, like if you got a 3 armor, you will only go down to about 40 health. If you're a 2 armor, you'll go down to about 30. And if you're a 1 armor, then you could either A, be killed by the trap, or B, you could be, you could be pushed down to maybe about 20 health. Now, Maestro, he's one of the new operators. He is, I believe he's a 2-speed, 2 armor operator. and his special ability is what's called an evil eye. This evil eye, what it uses is it uses a laser, and this laser, it go on, Theo. I believe it does 5 damage per shot. I can't remember, but ooh, got him. Anyway, so what the evil eye does is it can disable drones. It can disable drones, breach charges, pretty much anything that could be destroyed by a bullet, and especially electronics. It gets electronics pretty good. So his LMG, the way it works is his LMG, when you're using it hip firing, what it will do is it will get more accurate each time. As you could tell when I was shooting that drone, you could see the for a second. Anyway, so actually, I'm not gonna go out there. I'm gonna check my evil eye. Anyway, so he has a pistol that is either A, the Rhino, or B, the Judge. Now, these things are not called the Rhino or the Judge. I don't know why, but looks like we got a Hibana. Nope, that was Thatcher. Anyway, so yep, that was Thatcher. Anyway, so no, that was Hibana. Gosh, I'm having troubles. Anyway, so Maestro's 2 guns are the Rhino and the Revolver as the secondaries, or the Executioner. Sorry, I lost my words there. Anyway, those 2 guns, the one is a shotgun and the other one is just a regular revolver. And these are both revolvers, but one takes shotgun ammo and one does not. Now, let's get on to another operator. Now, let's talk about Ash. Now, Ash is a 3-speed, 1 armor operator with a hitbox of a thumb, the size of a thumb. Her hitbox is so small that it's very hard to kill her. Usually when I see an Ash, as a defender, I either A, I spam all of my shots just to survive the fight with Ash, to even get her away from me or potentially kill her. Or what I do is I haul ass the other way, because Ash will run in, wreck you before you even know that she was there. Now Ash has the G36. It's an assault rifle carbine. It can be an assault rifle or it can be a carbine. And then she has, I believe, the R46, I think it's called. I don't know. But it's an SMG, looks very similar to a Honey Badger. Those of you who don't know what a Honey Badger is, it's a silenced SMG with the silencer built into the barrel. So with Ash, you either get the 5.7 as her secondary, or you get the M1911. Now, these are not called the 5.7 or the M1911 because I have no clue, because I don't know why they would change the name. Anyway, so Ash is one of those characters where you gotta be fast to use her, and if you aren't fast to use her, then you shouldn't be using her. Because she is not one of those she's not one of those easy operators to get down. Like Cav is not easy to get down with or understand. But let's move on. So with Thatcher, Thatcher has an EMP grenade. He will throw an EMP grenade and it will destroy nitro cells or any other type of electronics used by Bluetooth or anything like that. He uses... Here, one second. I gotta concentrate on this. What? Okay. That's bullcrap. Anyway, so... With Thatcher, what he has an AR-33, which is essentially just a giant MP5 assault rifle. And as you can see with his loadout, he is using a breach charge, and he has ran out of all of his EMP grenades. His secondary is the P226 MK25. Now this is a, I believe it's from, the gun is originated from Scotland. I'm really surprised he did not shoot that Jaeger. Oh, there it is. Anyway, so with Thatcher, he is a 2-speed, 2 armor operator. He just got messed up by Doc, and he's kind of those filler operators. He doesn't really serve a really good purpose, but he does have some significance. Right next to you. Okay. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's go to defenders. Actually, yeah, let's go to defenders. Now, my favorite is attacking, because some of my favorite attackers are, well, some of my favorite operators are attackers. Now, but let's move to defenders. Now, defenders are, of course, as it sounds, is operators that only work in defending or protecting the objective. Now let's go with a Mira main. You don't really get a lot of Mira mains, because Mira is, she's not really one of those operators that is used quite often, but she is. She's kind of, it's a real weird, Mira's fan base is really weird. It's either you don't play her or you do, and there's at least one person, someone to play Mira in a game. Now, what really, dude? What Mira does is when she puts up a reinforcement, she, as you can tell, is, you can see this side of the reinforcement is all paneled out, but let's go look at it on the other side.
Down to 10 seconds.
Now on the other side, there's these little prongs. Now these little prongs shoot through the wood and then go latch on the other side to make a reinforced wall. Now what she can do is she can put a Mira right on there, and a mirror, a black mirror, what it will do is it will go up against the reinforced wall, and then it'll push a hole through the wall, so that way you can see through the reinforced wall. Now as you can tell, she just put one up. Now you can see out of the mirror, but attackers can't. The way it works is she puts it on the wall, and then there's 2 sides to it. This handle extends from where this black line is, extends that way, and then so on with this one. The glass is held up by this oxygen tank that's sitting right on the bottom, and when you shoot it, the glass will fall. I'm not going to shoot it because I want to keep that there.
1 op 4 remaining.
Wow. Anyway, so oh, nice.
Mission successful.
So with Mira, she's a good operator to use. She's fast, and she has the I can't remember what it's called. I believe it is called the Vector, but something like that, something to that effect. Anyway, so that Vector is very fast and does a good amount of damage. Her secondaries are either a pistol, I'm not really sure on the pistol, I can't remember what it's called, or a shotgun. The shotgun does very little, it has very little range, and it doesn't do a lot of damage, but up close it'll do amount like a regular shotgun. Anyway, so let's move to attackers now that I'm playing an attacker. I want to talk about Dokkaebi. Dokkaebi is one of those operators that likes to call your phone and then bug you at an annoying time. At the most inconvenience, she acts like your mom. She will call you on your phone, like let's say you're hanging out with your girl, and then she'll call your phone right when you're about to make out with her.
The biohazard
And
container
it's
has
so
been
inconvenient, but that's what Dokkaebi is like. She,
10
as you're
seconds.
reinforcing something, or when you're trying not to die, you have to shut this phone off. And
Proceed to the
I love
biohazard
messing with
container and
Frost.
secure it.
Anyway, you have to shut the phone down so that way she can't hear you. It makes a very loud vibrating noise, and you can clearly hear it. Now, she has the semi-automatic rifle, the EBR-14. This gun is used in a whole bunch of video games like Call of Duty. Ooh. Games like Call of Duty, Battlefield,
Hostile activity.
Call of
Stop securing the container.
many other games. Oh, come on, really, dude? Wow.
Op four
Anyway,
neutralized. Mission
so she has a secondary, and it is an SMG-12, I believe it's what it's called. And it's very fast. I'd have to look at her stats to see how fast it is, but it puts out rounds like BBs falling out of a container and bouncing everywhere. They're so hard to dodge, but it's so hard to aim. I'll just show you her stats. Anyway, so Dokkaebi mains tend to be a very smart operator. She's a person who has to hear their surroundings and has to call the phone at the right time. Now, I'm going to go back to what I was talking about with the SMG-12. Now, the SMG-12 is a customized machine pistol that is light, compact, and optimal at short range, and possesses a high fire rate. The damage is 28 rounds per bullet, and the fire rate is about 1,270 rounds per minute. The mobility is 50, so that means it doesn't bring down her speed at all, and the capacity is 32 rounds per mag. Now, the recoil is very high, no matter with what customization. You can't put anything on the barrel to slow it down, but you can put a vertical grip. Now, the vertical grip will reduce the recoil, and so will the angled grip, but the angled grip won't do the recoil as much as the vertical grip. Now, the angle grips are usually for the people who like to snipe, or people who use like the MK14 EBR. Now, the M14, I like to call it the M14 because that K makes no sense to me, but the MK14 EBR does a damage of 51 per shot, and the fire rate is your trigger finger. Now, the mobility does not bring down her speed, and the capacity is only 20 rounds per mag. Now, this is a classic hard-hitting 308 battle rifle in a lighter and shorter chassis. Effective in long-range battles, devastating in a short-range battle. Now, I don't even know how to say this. Her BOSG 12.2 shotgun is essentially an Olympia buckshot. Now, the damage per shot is 125, and the fire rate is your trigger finger. Now, it's only 2 shots per reload. The ability does not bring down her speed at all, but the capacity, it being only a top-down barrel, there's only 2 rounds in it. Now, the recoil is so high that, as you can tell on the recoil pattern measurement chart, it's not even measured. That little green dot at the bottom means that it's as accurate the first shot, and then the recoil is very high when you do, if you want to do a quick two shots like a double tap, then the recoil, you'll hit them one shot and then the second shot will miss unless you're close range. Now let's go to her C75 Auto. Now this is just like the M9 Auto version of an automatic pistol. Now this weapon is a fully automatic pistol that is effective at short range and uses a spare mag as a foregrip for more control. Now this magazine is not loaded at all. It never will be. I don't know why. I think it'd be a cool thing to have a spare mag on your gun, but whatever. Anyway, so it does a damage of 29 damage per shot, and the fire rate is 1,000 rounds per minute. The mobility does not bring down her speed at all, and the capacity is 26 rounds per mag. That's a lot of bullets for 29 damage per shot with a fire rate of 1,000 per minute. Now, just to show you how fast the C75 is compared to the SMG-12 is, the SMG-12 has about 200 rounds, 70 more than the pistol. She carries a smoke grenade and a claymore. The claymore has a very visual laser sight that shoots out and you can clearly see it. But sometimes people don't pay attention and will walk into it and die. But I love playing as Dokkaebi. Dokkaebi is a fun character. She's very versatile and very fast. She's one of my favorites. Let's talk about Buck. So Buck is a Canadian officer. His real name is Sebastian. I do not know how to pronounce that last name. I believe it's Coyote. My bad. And of course his operator name is, well, his nickname is Buck. He was born in August 20th, and he's 36 now. The place of birth was Montreal, Quebec, which is in Canada. His height is 1.78 meters, and not meters. I believe it's meters, and his weight is 78 kilograms, which I don't know the translation into American measurements at all. So let's take a look at his loadout. He has the CASFW, which is essentially just an A4M1. It's a standard assault rifle. It does a damage of 34 damage per round, and the fire rate is 837 bullets per minute. The mobility is 50, which does not bring down his speed at all. The capacity is 30 rounds per shot. But the twist to to his two primary guns is he has a shotgun mounted on the end of it. I like to put this little unicorn on there because it's just stupid funny. But anyway, so he has a breaching shotgun on it, on each of his primary guns. Now, I tend to not run his assault rifle because it's just, I'm not really an assault rifle person when attacking, because I do want to have more accuracy with my shots. Now, with the CAMRS, is a semi-automatic rifle. It does a damage of 69 damage per shot, and the fire rate is your trigger finger. Now, the fire rate for the semi-automatic rifles in this game is limited just a little bit. So, if you are pulling off shots, there's going to take some time to chamber the next round. The mobility is 50, so it does not bring down the speed of the operator, and the capacity is 20 rounds per mag. Now, where is my water? Anyway, so the recoil is very centered, and it's kind of a little bit low. It says on the recoil pattern that it It does get a little high, but with the barrel attachment that I just put on there, it does bring the recoil down a little bit. Now, the MK1 9mm is the secondary that is it's a very weird setup. It looks like a 1911, but it does not feel like a 1911. The sights are very different. The way the gun cycles is different. Everything about it is different, but it does look very similar. Now, the damage is 40 rounds per shot, and the fire rate is, of course, your trigger finger, and the mobility is 45, so it does bring down the speed by 5%. Now, the capacity is 13 rounds per shot. Since it does so much damage, they do have to put a limit. They do have to balance it out. They can't have a high magazine count and have a high damage, because you could do a lot of damage very quickly with a whole bunch of rounds and then not have to reload. I mean, you would have to reload eventually, but you'd be doing more damage more quicker, and it wouldn't be fair to a defender. But I am a huge fan of Buck. I love to use Buck. He's one of my favorite attackers. He carries a stun grenade and a frag grenade. It's very two common things. Those two grenades they're pretty much almost on every single operator besides the frag grenade. You can find a stun grenade, I believe, on Dokkaebi. I believe. No. Hers is smoke grenade and Claymore. What about Lion? Lion does have stun grenades, and he does have a Claymore. Now let's talk about Lion. Lion is another attacker that I sometimes like to use, but I like to use him. Now, his first gun is essentially the Vector, but it shoots an assault round. It's called the V308. It does a damage of 44, and why is it lower? Oh, I know why. Anyway, so, the reason why it was lower because I had this selected and it was just showing me how low it was. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so with the V308 assault rifle, it does a damage of 44. Has a fire rate of 700 rounds per minute, and the mobility is 50. So it does not bring down the speed of the operator. The capacity is 50 rounds per mag, and the recoil pattern is fairly decent. It stays on the range. When you look at the recoil pattern, it does stay in that range. It doesn't really go outside of it. With other guns, that will happen sometimes. He carries the 417, which this rifle can also be used on the operator Twitch. Twitch is another operator who she is another attacking operator. It has the same stats and everything. It has 69 damage per shot. The fire rate is your trigger finger because it is a semi-automatic rifle. The mobility is 50, and the capacity is only 10 rounds per mag. I'm sort of a fan of the gun. I will use it if I feel like I want to be ranged. I don't always like to, but it's one of those guns that's kind of like, I could probably use this. Now, he also uses the SGCQB, which is a shotgun. It's a pump shotgun and does a damage of 53. It has a fire rate of a pump shotgun. You do have to compensate for the time of shooting and then pumping the shotgun. The mobility is 50, so it does not bring down the speed of the operator, and the capacity is only 7 rounds per shot. I believe they should have just added another one because it would have made more sense. Shotguns usually have 8 rounds per gun. This gun can also be found on the operators Doc and Rook. I think also Twitch. I'm not sure, but his pistol is a P9. This P9 is used by Doc and Rook, which are two defending operators, and the recoil is very small on it. It's one of the most accurate pistols. Anyway, so I don't always put a laser sight on my guns because the opposing team can see the laser, and it will kind of give away your position. You cannot put a charm or anything on it. The damage is 45 damage per shot. The fire rate is your trigger finger, and it is a pistol, so it really does show, not show, but the fire rate is really on how good your trigger finger is. Sorry, I couldn't find the words there. Now, the mobility is 45, so it does bring down the speed of the operator, which I don't really understand, but some pistols do bring down the speed of the operator when using them. The capacity is 16 rounds per shot with a damage of 45. You could do a fair amount of damage, and you could do it multiple times and possibly kill someone with it. And it's that gun, that P9 is really a last resort, which most pistols in this game are a last resort. Now he also uses the LFP 586. Sorry about that. This is a revolver, kind of like the Python. Does a damage of 78 rounds 78 damage per shot. The fire rate is your trigger finger. The mobility is 45, and it does bring down the speed of the operator. Now the recoil is so bad that as you can tell, it's going everywhere when you do shoot. The recoil on it is so bad. People don't really use the revolver. Sometimes they do if they're running a shield operator, but that's a little different when you're using a revolver, because a revolver, sorry, gosh, I had a little stutter there. The revolver is kind of like a marksman rifle, but it's a little pistol, and it only does 78 damage per shot. Capacity is just a normal revolver magwell. It's only 6 rounds. I tend to not put a camo on my pistols, but I believe the elephant camo on the revolver is pretty cool. I don't usually use the revolver because of that recoil pattern. If it didn't have such a high recoil, I would use it. Now, Lion uses the claymore and the stun grenade. His special ability is something called the Big Brother. Now, the Big Brother, what it will do is it will send a giant vibration from a drone above. It'll send it onto the map below, and it'll vibrate the entire building. And whenever someone walks or anything like that, it will notice the disruption in the vibration and then give you a location. Or that's what the description of it does. Zofia is one of those operators that I was talking about before. She is one of those operators that has a grenade launcher, but her grenade launcher is a little different than Ash's. Her grenade launcher uses two rocket propelled grenades, or 2 rounds, if you so choose to say, which you shoot it, and as soon as it makes contact with something, it explodes. The difference between Zofia's and Ash's grenade launcher, when you shoot it, goes into a barrier, and it drills in to lock in, so that way you don't have your grenade bouncing anywhere or going all over the place and not missing your target. Zofia's explodes on contact. Now let's talk about her weapon selection. Her first her first real good gun is the LMG-E, but it does do for less damage than her assault rifle. But assault rifles do tend to do more damage than an LMG, because an LMG, of course, will be a little. It has a higher capacity and doesn't. It has more bullets to use. Gosh, I can't find the words. It has more bullets in the magazine than an assault rifle. So assault rifles use bigger rounds because they pack more punch than they do have capacity in a mag. Now the LMGE has 150 rounds per mag, and it does a damage of 41. So it does a little bit less than her assault rifle and has more ammo capacity in it. Now the fire rate is lowered by 10%, or 10 bullets if you choose. The mobility is 50, so it does not bring down the speed or change the speed of the operator. Her M762 is an effective medium range AR with a custom shoulder stock, front hand guard, and a flat upper rail. Anyway, the damage is 45 damage is 45 per round. Sorry about that. The fire rate is 730 rounds per minute. The mobility is 50, and the capacity is 30. So with this, since it does do that damage, it being an assault rifle won't have that mag capacity as good as the LMGE. I keep on wanting to switch over to the guns and then clicking the wrong button. So anyway, so the LMGE does. It has a little bit less fire rate and has a little bit less damage, but it does do a little bit more. It has more capacity. Anyway, so with the M762, it does bring quite a little bit of a recoil pattern, but with the LMGE is kind of all over the place. I usually run the M762 because it's one of my favorite rifles to use. I haven't really had a chance to customize it because I have gotten a new PlayStation, and so all of the account transferred over. I just haven't had a chance to customize my operators at all. Anyway, so let's talk about her secondary. Her secondary is only one pistol, but it does have a red dot sight on it, which I do like that they put a red dot sight on a pistol in this game, but I just wish it wasn't this gun. This gun is a very generic pistol. It does 38 damage, fire rate is your trigger finger, so it means the pistol, it being a pistol means it really depends on your trigger finger and is not limited by chambering rounds or anything like that. The mobility is 45, so it does bring down your damage. It doesn't bring down your damage, it brings down your speed just a little bit, and the capacity is 15 rounds per mag. Now if you look at the recoil pattern, it's a very small recoil pattern. It's very straight and narrow. It doesn't fly anywhere else. It kind of just stays where you're aiming. She carries a breach charge and a claymore. Breach charges I haven't gotten a chance to explain those yet. As it explains right there, it's a deployable charge capable of blowing up walls, floors, and barricades. Now, when it blows up floors, it's not going to blow all the way up, all the way through the floor, because the floors do have metal frames on them, and it also cannot blow up cement walls or cement floors or any brick or anything like that. It also can't blow up metals. It can blow up wood walls. It can blow up wood hatches or anything like that. It's also used to, as the name of it is, to breach. It puts a hole in a wall, and then people will run through and then start to, kill people or get some kills. With Ying's special ability is a little flash grenade that she throws, or she could put on a wall and it will push the little flash charges through the wall and will flash the inside of the actual objective. Ying uses the T95 LSW, which is a kind of like a FAMAS, and it does a damage of 43 rounds per shot. The fire rate is 650 rounds per minute, and the mobility is 50, so it does not reduce or increase the speed of the operator. Now, capacity is 80 rounds per mag because she does have that drum mag. I tend to like to use this when I do use hers. But I also like to use her shotgun, which is the 612, the Compact 12 Bullpup double action revolver shotgun, good for CQC and fast reload. CQC, if you don't know, is close quarters combat. That's what most shotguns are like. Her shotgun does a damage of 35 rounds per shot. 35 rounds per shot. Does a damage of 30 per shot. The fire rate is your trigger finger, but I would not recommend going crazy with it. It does get high up in recoil. The mobility does not increase or decrease the mobility of the operator, and the capacity is only 6 rounds because it is a revolver type shotgun. Now, her guns are very customizable. You can put charms and you can put camos on it, and with her shotgun, it's not very customizable. I really wish that you could put since it does have that bottom rail right there, I really wish you could put a foregrip or something on there to lower the recoil, but sadly you can't. With her T-Law, which is, well, not her T-Law, but her T95 is very customizable. You can put barrels, you can put a suppressor, compensator, muzzle brake, or flash hider. I tend to use the muzzle brake because it does bring down the recoil. I also use the vertical grip, and that does also bring down the recoil. You can put a weapon skin on there, and there's a whole bunch, but with the new update, they do sometimes like to remove some camos and stuff like that for guns when they do bring out new operators. So it looks like they did actually reduce her camos, which she had a camo a while ago that I really liked. I just can't remember what it was called. But her pistol is the Q929. It does a damage of 60 damage per is of course your trigger finger. The mobility is 45, and now that I actually think about it, is the mobility when it's lowered is faster. So all of the operators that I previously said that have a 45, it does not slow down, it actually increases the speed. My bad, sorry about that, guys. But the capacity is only 10 rounds per mag. And you can put a camo on it. And you can put a muzzle brake on it, reducing the recoil, or you could put a suppressor on it and let it have its same recoil. But suppressors do bring down the damage of each gun. It always brings it down. Anyway, so let's go over to Lee Sin, because there's a reason why I went over to Lee Sin instead of finishing the rest of the attackers. Now the attackers are very fast-paced people, but the defenders are very silent and very slow. Now this comes into play when you're looking at the same shotgun that Ying has. It's the same shotgun, but this one has a suppressor on it. This compact 12-gauge shotgun runs off a 6-round drum, includes an integrated suppressor for stealth. Now, Lee Sin, or Lesion, or however you want to say it, his little gadget is what's called a goo mine, and these goo mines, they as it said right there, cloaked toxic mines injecting a compound which injures opponents and limits their speed. When you do step on one of these goo mines, it will make you slow, but when you pull it out, you will get your original speed back. It does, I believe, do 10 damage every 2 seconds, I believe it is. I'm not really sure. He is a 2-speed, 2-armor operator. The reason why I went over here was because he has the same first primary and secondary, but he does have a T5 SMG, which is a little different. Now, this gun is based off of the MTAR. It is a SMG version of the MTAR and does use SMG bullets, or 9mm bullets. The 612 SD is the same shotgun, just with suppressor, has the same recoil pattern, same everything. With the weapon skins, again, you can put weapon skins on there. One thing about weapon skins is they do tend to, if you are trying to hide from an operator and stuff like that, and you're trying to be stealth, depending on the weapon skin, it could give your position away. And so let's go over to Blackbeard. Blackbeard, he runs the MK17 CQB. It's essentially an AEG SCAR. I really love the gun. It has a good amount of damage, has a good capacity. The fire rate is fair. The mobility stays the same. Doesn't reduce the speed or doesn't increase the speed. The recoil pattern on it is a fair amount. It is just a really generic, but it's a good run gun. He does have a semi-automatic rifle, which is the SR-25. Now, the SR-25 is a marksman's rifle, just like Dokube's and Twitch and also Lion and stuff like that. I do have a fair amount of skins for this gun, and I believe I also have a lot for the SCAR. Oh, no, I don't. But I only got 2 extra ones. These 2 I got, well, these 3 I got in alpha packs. Actually, no, I take that back. The 2 main colored, now, the 2 straight colored ones I got in alpha packs. This one I got in the Ubisoft Club. Now, the Lucky Spade is you can only get it if you have the Elite skin, and I bought the Elite skin. You can only get Elite skins with R6 credits, and you have to buy R6 credits. Now, his secondary is the Deagle, or the D50, depending on whatever you want to call it, or the Desert Eagle. It's really whatever people like to call it. The Deagle does 71 damage per shot. The fire rate is your trigger finger. The mobility does increase the speed of the operator, and the capacity is only 7 rounds per shot. But if you do have one in the chamber, it makes it 8 rounds per shot. The recoil is very high on this gun. It's very high. It's not as high as the revolvers, but it does do a lot of damage. Now, I really like the Lucky Spade on this, but I also really love the Observer skin on this. I really like that gold, but the Lucky Spade does look pretty cool. I also really love the Oil Spill. These 3 I bought, and I don't think I want to get another one besides the Monolithic. This is the only one I really else want to get. But he does use breach charges and stun grenades as his gadgets, and his special ability is to use a shield that mounts on the end of each gun, and he can see through the shield, but after, I believe, it being shot either 5 times or 10, I can't not remember, it will break and fall off the gun. But you do have 2 shields, so it does, so you can protect yourself when you are breaching just a little bit, but it will only protect your face from headshots, and it will only protect it for a little bit of time. Now, that shield can go on both his semi-automatic rifle and his SCAR. Now, I already talked about Buck, so let's go down to Hibana. Now, Hibana is one of my favorite operators to use, She runs the Type 89 assault rifle. It's a classic assault rifle with a medium stopping power. Now the damage is 40 rounds per shot, does a fire rate of 850 rounds per minute. The mobility is 50, so it does not increase or decrease the operator's usage. Well, not usage, but speed. The capacity is only 20 rounds per mag. What the recoil is, it's fairly good, but when you take, well, sorry, I'm blanking right now. Without the vertical grip and the compensator, I believe it is. No, it's the muzzle brake on it. The recoil does get a little high. And it does get very spread out though. But with the recoil being so high, I would recommend putting that muzzle brake and vertical grip on there, so that way you do reduce the recoil just a little bit. She doesn't have very many paint jobs. I do like this one though. I really want to get it, but I'm not too worried about camos. She does have a shotgun, and it's called the sorry. It's called the Supernova. The Supernova does 80. Well, it does 80. Why would I say 80? Does a damage. Gosh, I cannot speak today. Does a damage of 48 per shot, and has a fire rate of your trigger finger. But do bear in mind that it is a pumped shotgun, so you can shoot it as fast as you can, but there's still going to be that time to load the next round. The capacity is only 7 rounds per shot. With 1 in the chamber, makes it 8 rounds per shot. Well, 8 rounds per mag. Well, not mag, but load. I like it to use it when I'm rushing. When I do a rushing strat, I like to use it. Let's talk about our secondaries. But other than that, I don't like to use that shotgun. Anyway, so the secondaries is the Bearing 9, which is essentially a tricked out Mac 11. The Bearing 9 is a short, medium range submachine gun with a high rate of fire and mobility, best used in close quarters. I don't really agree with the close quarters. I do get headshots a lot when using this from a long range or a fair range. You can put a suppressor on it and a gosh, I can't find the words. A laser sight. You can put a laser sight on there, and you can put charms and a camo on it. I'm not a real huge fan of this gun. I don't usually use it, but sometimes I will pull it out to save myself. The damage is 28% per shot. The fire rate is 1,100 rounds per minute. The mobility is 50, so it does not increase or reduce the speed of the operator, and the capacity is 25 rounds per mag. I do like the gun, but I don't always run it. Now, the P229, it's very generic, but it does have a high damage, and it does have a little bit of ammo in there, and so you can get some pretty decent kills with it. The mobility is 45, so it does increase the speed of the operator when you are using it. I have the camo oil spill on it. I really like the camo oil spill on when I'm looking at it on guns. I think it just really looks super cool on it. I love how it fades into a different color, and no matter your position, the color doesn't change, but it does. I just really like oil spill. Now, she doesn't have a very good wide selection of uniforms or headgear, but Hibana does have she is a good operator to use. I never talked about her gadget. Her gadget is called the X-Kryos or Kairos. Not sure how to pronounce it, but it is a 40mm grenade launcher firing explosive pellets that can be detonated from a distance. Now, what these can do is they can break down wood, and they can actually punch through a reinforced barrier. But you only get 6 of those little pellets per shot, and they don't create a full walkway. You would have to put either 2 to make a crouched walkway or 3 to make a full standing walkway. But you only have 3 shots. Now let's talk about Capiteo. Capiteo is, let me check. He's a 1 armor 3 speed operator, which means he does move very fast. His special ability is this crossbow on his back. He has 2 types of arrows or bolts. One is a fire bolt, which shoots a bolt. When it makes contact, it will then start to burn around it. It doesn't create a fire, but it does create a very high intensity heat around the area of where the bolt was shot. And he also has the other type of bolt is a smoke bolt. You shoot it and then it will of course release smoke, and giving you a smoke screen to run into the objective or run out of the objective, or to help out Glaz with his thermal scope. Just a number of things you could use, or just trying to get past the doorway. Now his two primary weapons are the Para 308, and is the Para 308, which is an assault rifle. It is a BOP created rifle. It's more compact. It's a more compact version of battle proven FAL with high stopping power. It has a 48 damage per shot. The fire rate is 650 rounds per minute. The mobility does not change the speed of the operator whatsoever. The capacity is 30 rounds per mag. I do like to use it because it has a very low recoil. Here, I want to see what I'm not sure what the recoil is without the 2 muzzle brake and vertical grip. Now it does look like it does have a little bit of a high recoil when you do not put the vertical grip and I believe it's flash hider, muzzle brake, the muzzle brake. The flash hider and muzzle brake do bring down the recoil, but the flash hider is used for stealth, and this will bring down your recoil and make it more in the middle of where you're shooting. But that flash hider does keep the recoil with it. It doesn't kind of narrow it down, but it does bring down the recoil. Now he does use his second primary weapon is the M249, which is an LMG. It's a very iconic LMG, accurate in medium range with high ammo capacity and efficient suppressive fire. It does 48 damage per shot. The fire rate is 650 rounds per minute. The mobility is 50, so it does not increase or decrease the speed of the operator. The capacity is 100 rounds per mag. The recoil is, I believe it's got a fairly big recoil. Not too big, but it does have a fairly substantial recoil on it. And when you don't have the foregrip or the vertical grip, but when you do put that vertical grip on there with the flash hider, it does lower the recoil down. Or you could, the compensator doesn't really, it's not really a good thing to use, because in this game people don't usually just hold down the trigger and just spray shots everywhere, and that's really what a compensator does, is it really just reduces the recoil when shooting for a long time. The camos on it, I believe it has, it has a very low camo selection, but I do love this Cyphador, I believe it's called. I love the giant skulls all over it and stuff like that. I really like it. but it's that 6,700 in renown. I'm not a too big fan of Brazil and Mayhem. I'm not, but I do run that LMG sometimes. I run them both equally. Now he has the almost the same gun as uh, that Cav has. It's essentially the Louisian or the Louison, I believe it's called, but it's called the PRB 92, and it doesn't have that suppressor. I put the suppressor on it as a customizable thing. I could put the muzzle brake on it, reducing the recoil, or I could not have anything on it, just looking like a regular M9. But it does look like an M9, but it is not an M9. These were made at a different time after the M9 and is much wider and uses a different type of bullet. Now it does a damage of 35% per shot. The fire rate is your trigger finger, so it being a pistol, it really does matter on your trigger finger. The mobility, it does increase the speed of the operator, and the capacity is only 15 rounds per shot. I do like to use this pistol, but not all the time. I do have the oil spill for it, but I'm not really sure that I like it. I'm very skeptical on it. I really like the Brazil on the gun. I also have Brazil on the other Louisa. That will be it for today. Today was just talking about the operators, the DLC operators for attacking. Tomorrow I might talk about the defenders, or I might just play some Rainbow Six Siege with my friends, or just depending on what I feel like doing tomorrow. But I also might give you some tips too later on today. Alright, this has been Michael. This either A if you don't know me, but this has been Michael Tron, or on my YouTube channel. This has been Buckboy78, and I will see you guys later in the next video.